Internet, I present to you Big Brother All-Stars 3. Heroes versus villains versus antis. But for real? So I've now talked about the best heroes, villains, and anti-heroes in Big Brother. It's only fitting we turn the page one last time and close it out with the anti-villains. The players who are not on the side of good. They oppose the heroes or anti-heroes in our story, but they're also players who are characteristically not that villainous. They are bad guys, but that doesn't make them bad guys, right, Zangief? They aren't completely wicked or so difficult to understand or relate to. A bit similar to the anti-heroes, they're complex and just so happen to fall on the other side of the battlefield. Their presentation on the show usually leaves them opposing the most popular players, and we tend to root against anti-villains, but can sometimes sympathize with their situations and predicaments. Perhaps they really do mean well, despite being ruthless and morally questionable, or they're put into a corner with bad luck and only parts of their worst sides are exposed. If they just had more power or allies or fortune, they would surely be a hero. Anyway, here are the 5 players I believe are the best anti-villains in Big Brother. Actually, here are the top 8 with 3 honorable mentions that I want to bring up, but top 8 just doesn't have as nice of a ring to it. From Big Brother 2, we have Hardy and Nicole, who began the season as heroes vowing to vanquish the evil that was Chilltown. They nearly succeeded before succumbing to temptation and working with the devil instead of against him. And thus, both Hardy and Nicole went from heroes to anti-villains. Working with the ultimate villain, forsaking their pact, and ultimately losing the game because of it. Strange circumstances and quite unique, and I think worthy of a mention. I also have Brendan from Big Brother 12, the love interest of Rachel. Brendan isn't quite the villain that Rachel is, he kinda just helps prop her up. But he himself is mostly a regular guy who is love-struck and doesn't know how to handle Rachel's antics. Truth be told, Brendan is kind of a wet mop. He's on the villain side, but he wants to do good. He wants to fight for his woman, defend her honor, and take down the perceived bad guys like Matt and Reagan, but yeah, he's still not a hero. At number 5 and 4, I have another duo that is somewhat similar to Hardy and Nicole, except these two were anti-villains pretty much the entire season. From Big Brother 6, it's Eric, or Cappy as he's called, and Maggie. Because I don't think there's any question that the friendship side of things were considered the villains of the story. The Sovereign Six Alliance were the protagonists, the heroes, and anti-heroes, and then you get all kinds of scum and villainy from the nerd herd. Or did we? I mean, yeah, we did, but like as far as Cappy goes, he actually was quite valiant for the 3 weeks that he was in the house. He fought to defend the women from the creepy Michael. He wanted to play honorably and keep his word with Kaser. He didn't put the guy up after they shook on it. Cappy was maligned by the heroes of the story, but his actions sung a different tune. If you rewatch Big Brother 6 with that lens, you might find yourself agreeing with him more than you expect. Also, not for nothing, he took one for his close friend Maggie after he was betrayed by Kaser, choosing to fall on his sword so she could stay longer in the game. Maggie then took over and assumed his anti-villain mantle and ran the rest of the season in his honor, fighting to right the wrongs that were done unto him by Kaser and the Sovereigns.
I haven't touched or affected anybody.
What about when you were grabbing people's necks and you were kissing on their necks? That could easily be considered sexual harassment.
It's given Eric another edge because he's come out to be the hero and the savior.
Is there a reason why you're staring at me? To intimidate me? It's not gonna work. So you can stare at me all day long and look at me.
When you tell somebody that you are uncomfortable with the way that they are touching you, that is clearly constituting crossing the line.
Eric has the ability to be an incredibly emotional person, and that is both a strength, and it can also can make the situation a little more difficult. Don't you worry about me. There's a whole side to me that no one in this house has seen, and they will see if you are gone and I am still in here.
How do you think Maggie's gonna do now that you're gone?
I think that they definitely think they got rid of the stronger one, but I really, in honesty, I think she was a better player than I was.
As far as Maggie was concerned, Kaser took the first shot at that chess veto when he made a direct attack on her closest ally. So much for keeping it civil, buddy. Mind you, I'm not painting this entire friendship alliance with the same brush, just that Maggie fits the bill for anti-villain really well, and she's also the glue that holds her villainous little alliance together all season. She wanted unity and friendship. Ugh, the horror. Because the Sovs were shady and vapid and deal breakers. Of course, America didn't agree with them. They loved the Sovs, and I get why. I was right there with them. Maggie was an understandable villain, a situational anti-villain who went on to win the game in spite of her reputation by the heroes of this story.
You're not the target. You were the bait.
So you sealed my fate.
No. I sealed your partner's fate.
Everything in this game is about deals and securing yourself more than just 1 week.
Do I need to be worried
About what?
about me? But I can't trust anything in this game. I don't have a partner.
The goal of this week is to ensure that no one from the friendship gets nominated. That way, if someone does come back and it is Eric, we will have a strong friendship.
Maggie said, if I put up James and Sarah this week, no matter who comes to the doors next week, whether if it's Eric, I'm safe from Eric for another week.
They're going up. They're going up.
Your word.
They have my word. They're going up.
Okay.
They're going out of here.
You give me your word that they are going up.
They're going. And Sarah's and James's keys will be the two that are not in the box.
Now, a similar player to Maggie in that they were also holding their group together as best they could, all while making a deep run into the endgame, was Kevin from Big Brother 11. Again, kind of like the Sovereign Six, the heroes of Big Brother 11 were Jeff and Jordan, at least as far as the characterization in the story went. On the flip side, we had Jesse and Russell, two major villains, and with them a group of allies who would wax and wane on any given week to do their bidding, to hide behind the bigger shields that were causing chaos and disruption. Chief among these players was Kevin, someone who was allied with all of these villains of the season, but he himself wasn't really that bad. He often defended those who were being attacked, never the aggressor, just sticking up for what he believed to be right. Especially against Ronnie the Rat, who was playing every side of the house. Kevin knew that his allies were frustrating and a lot to deal with. I mean, we have that whole funeral scene with Jesse. It's just, Kevin is the perfect anti-villain right there, from Lydia, who was an emotional wreck, to Chima, who kind of just hated the show and didn't want to be there, to Natalie, who had some of the dumbest lies ever told on Big Brother. Girl, what are you doing here? But Kevin almost won with this motley crew, despite having that coup d'etat twist work against his best interest. We saw him completely fool Jeff and Jordan, the naive heroes that they were, into believing that Russell was actually against them, and he didn't mind lying to all these people because it's a game. He lied through his teeth, and it worked. And we didn't hold it against him because Jeff and Jordan were kinda dumb to buy it in the first place. Honestly, props to Kevin for getting himself this far with all of this hubbub happening around him. And then as far as Big Brother 22 goes, I would say he definitely really wasn't much of a hero himself, more of just like a wet blanket more than anything, but at least he can take solace in being one of the best anti-villains the show has seen on his first outing.
He had such a good spirit and such a good present soul.
It just makes me want to cry because I know I'm gonna wake up in the morning and I'm gonna see Shima and I'm gonna see Natalie.
I had so much fun with him too.
He was so much fun, even when he was kicking my ass.
This is so wrong.
OMG, these girls are acting as if Jesse just got hit by a Mack truck. He got evicted from Big Brother. Please, girls, the guy was an idiot.
So good to me. Remember he wanted to put me up first week, remember that? He did, but you know what I mean. And the person who talked about everybody in this house is still here.
Who's gonna take it all, Mike?
Kevin.
I want Kevin to win the money, and I want him to take Jordan to final two. And I think that will be his best move.
I think Kevin will probably win it. I don't think it matters who he takes.
How many total votes to evict have been cast so far this season? The correct answer is 51.
The second best anti-villain is a man who never really asked for this. He just wanted to play Big Brother fair and square, on equal terms, without having to fight for his life every day of the week. From Big Brother 14, I'm talking about Frank the Tank, the man who was allied and in cahoots with Boogie, one of the biggest villains in Big Brother. Sorry, Frank, you don't get to be a hero with strange bedfellows such as Chilltown. Frank was always in a tough spot in the game at every point in the season, and I get his frustration. I get why he didn't love being on that season. His feet were held to the fire whenever he wasn't HOH. Really, Frank was either HOH or on the block and facing eviction each week, from the first moment he walked into the house to the final week that he was evicted at the top 7. By sheer circumstance, Frank was an anti-villain as he constantly went after the protagonists, the heroes, all while supporting the antagonists. He didn't recognize himself to be on Boogie's team, but he also made his bed when he fully embraced Boogie as his ride or die. And then you just look across the board at Ian, who was in a similar situation, and look how he fared. And yet, Frank did stand up to Willie Hance in week 1 and defended the realm from that man's reign of terror. Frank stood toe-to-toe with the villain at the beginning of the game and said, "Not today, Satan." It's through these kinds of noble acts that we see the anti-part of his villainous depiction emerge, because Frank was by all means a straight shooter. He joined that Silent Six secret alliance, and similar to Maggie and Cappy, wasn't the first one to take a shot, even though he heavily contemplated it against Dan. Shane turned on Frank first, and so Frank felt justified to exact revenge going forward. It's these acts of loyalty against his better judgment that paint him as a heroic figure, despite working for the bad guys and squaring off against the protagonists of the season, that being Ian and Brittany and Dan, the Quack Pack. But Frank didn't want to go down this path so much as fate pushed him down it, as he mistakenly believed it was Dan who was a snake when it was Ian all along. Or how he ended up having to believe Dan after Dan's funeral and worked with him only to then get betrayed a week later. Frank was an anti-villain through and through. And even the fans sympathized with him, as he won fan favorites in the end.
Day 2, Willie promises me that I won't go up on the block, and then I get put up on the block. After that, he comes and tells me he will fight tooth and nail to keep me in this house and get me the votes that I need. But then Joe comes and tells me that he's trying to split the votes. At this point, I don't think I can trust him, and I don't think he's somebody I want to work with.
I say this because I love you. You're screwed. You're screwed. You have the whole house down there talking about you.
I mean, this is crazy news to me. Dude, I've been begging everybody to keep you in this house. But don't f with me right now, brother.
Well, I'm just trying to have a real talk with you, man. There's no need to raise your voice.
Listen, I've been doing everything for you.
Day number 2, you said, I promise you will not go on the block, and I'm on the block. That's all I got to say.
This is getting bull right here. But I hope you go home this week. Okay. I hope everybody changes their votes and you go home because you a shady. I'm not gonna be awkward. I'm a grown-ass man.
I'm not gonna be awkward either.
When I come in and get something to eat, I'm gonna sit down there and eat some food, Fruit Loops or whatever.
Eat your Fruit Loops, I ain't worried about it.
My only chance here is to pull off a miracle and beat everybody all the way up from the bottom seed to the top seed.
Frank, congratulations. You are the new head of household.
With the deck stacked against me, I bring home the W, and they're all at this point just being like, God, we can't get rid of this guy.
Finally, the #1 anti-villain in Big Brother is from one of the oldest seasons in the books, from Big Brother 3. It's Roddy. And man, oh man, it was always going to be Roddy. Roddy is the anti-villain who believes himself to be the true hero, the main protagonist, the ultimate good guy amidst a nest of vipers. Of course, then you watch the season and realize Roddy isn't the hero. He just tells himself that, and everyone around him within earshot, how much of that guy he is. Roddy is really good at manipulating others to feel emotions that make them feel guilty for turning on him, for playing the game against him. We see Roddy employ this with not just his own alliance, but those outside of it too, particularly Amy and Jason. The shame he injects into conversations with his tone to get his audience to feel pity and sorrow at the mistakes they're about to make. The guilt tripping is out of this world. But Roddy was mainly the alpha dog in the cast from week 1. He was in the majority alliance and supported their power structure as he was the best positioned in it. He had a fling with Kiara, his second in command. He desired to pick off the outcasts and the outsiders first, go figure, and it was really Danielle who got the ball rolling on his eventual demise. Danielle recognized how Roddy was a know-it-all who had this air of self-righteousness about him. He was this academic, book-smart, nice guy who couldn't help but remind you how great he was. Danielle slowly found him grating and realized she was on an island of one, and so she had to convince the rest of her allies to turn on him down the line. It was really difficult for her to get Roddy out, as he had his talons in a lot of people. Even her closest ally Jason wouldn't gun for him so easily. Roddy was good. She knew it, but she also knew he wasn't this hero figure he claimed to be. He was the villain, particularly her villain. And even though he painted her as the big bad of the season by the end, and it cost her the win when she reached the final 2, she still managed to upend his fog of war mist and evict him by the final 6. And I think I want to end this entry by saying that Roddy wasn't the worst guy out there, despite this characterization of him. He was still friendly, he was cordial, he never yelled or acted like a fool. But that is why he's here. He's your nice guy with an asterisk. There is always something more that meets the eye. And because of that, it's why I think he is the best anti-villain in Big Brother.
What do you think, Jay? Well, that's what What do you think, Jay? Don't worry about what those people told you. What do you think?
Right now, I don't know. Right.
Okay. Jay, I completely believe in you. And if you think otherwise, then you're making a mistake.
And the same reason that I would like to keep him in the house is also the reason that I fear him in this house, because he is an amazing player. And I feel like if he stays here a couple more weeks, that I've given him the $500,000.
He's just too dang clever. I mean, the man's my biggest competition in this house. That's the only thing I have to say about Roddy.
I think Roddy's a master gamesman. Roddy's another alpha male, as I am, and in a household like this, there can probably only be one.
It's been said to me for weeks now that you want to get me out of this house. I've heard a story from every single person in the house at one time or another, and that the reason why you pulled Jay against me was because you didn't want me to have any support. You wanted Jay to doubt me.
Not true.
Amy started telling a story, but without giving too much detail.
So who was that person? She goes, I'm not going to say who that person is. And Lisa's going, R-O. And I went, I know it's R-O-D-D-Y. How you do the devil in sign language?
He can influence too many people. He is the devil. He's Lucifer. He's Satan. He must go.
Does he deserve to be in this game? No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't. Sorry, he doesn't.
He could be a cult leader.
It was hard for me when I watched the tapes because I was kind and I was respectful to all you guys, and I never said a bad word about any of you guys one time. To hear the personal things said about me. How bad were the peanut butter and jelly weeks?
The peanut butter and jelly weeks were really, really bad.
And those are the top 5 best anti-villains in Big Brother history. Let me know what you think about this group of players and any others that might fit the bill. I do think this group is the trickiest to define, as some might veer into anti-hero territory, but for now, here we are. A big thank you to my patrons for all your support, and not thinking I'm the devil, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget, on your way out, the jury is watching the live feeds, and I will see you in the next one. Once I petition for heroes versus villains versus antis to actually be a thing. Hold up. I gotta make another video.
Cappy wanted it so bad, we should carry it out the way he wanted. I'm gonna do exactly what Cappy wants.
Maggie and I are now playing for Eric. We're carrying out what Cappy wanted.
You're okay. You just need to cry. Is that what it is? Do you feel like?
It started to hit me that Cappy wasn't there. I was robbed of somebody and it hurts. Nobody deserved it more, not even myself, to be in this house than Cappy.
She got completely robbed from a wonderful chance.
Hopefully Cappy's won America. Hopefully it's my Cappy who's coming back into the house. Please bring back my Cappy, please.
Nothing against Cappy because I don't know the guy. I don't really like him. I hate Yvette's obsession with him. I can't stand it. It drives me crazy.
I have a love for Cappy, but boy, do I miss my Cappy.
Where's Cappy?
And it's all over the place. All you hear is Cappy this, Cappy that.
Cappy, Cappy, Cappy.
Cappy.
As Yvette's girlfriend, it's probably not right for me to say that. Hey, I do like Janelle.